is MM 23.6. Councillor Perks, you held the item down.
No questions.
Questions?
None.
Okay, did you want to speak?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Members, I'm going to encourage you to vote no on this item. That will be a difficult choice, but I have 3 reasons. First, as soon as I held this item, I received a text. Gord, this is Jim Karagianis. I noticed you are holding Christian Heritage Month proclamation. I am a registered lobbyist on the file. Do you have any concerns? Now, some of you who are new on council might not know who Jim Karagianis is. He is the only member of council, in my memory, who has been kicked out of this council for violating election rules. He is also the person who, when Beyonce put on her halftime show at the Super Bowl, tried to get her banned from the city of Toronto.
Point of order. Point of order. Hold on. Councillor Perruzza, point of order.
Simple, Speaker. If the councillor wants to talk about City Council proclaimed December as Christian Heritage Month, he should do that. You know, former Councillor Karagianis left council a long time ago. I don't know what relevance he has to this.
He's a registered lobbyist.
And if he called him or whatever, but Speaker, I would ask you as the Speaker to keep us on track here and keep us on our lane, right?
Oh, okay, thank you. And Councillor Perks, Councillor Perruzza is correct. If you want to speak on the motion that's before us, speak on the motion.
I am. I'm speaking to someone who has registered as a lobbyist on the item, on the lobbyist registry.
On the motion.
I'm speaking about the motion.
Okay.
Now, once I recognized that Councillor Karagianis was a registered lobbyist, I looked up. And he is registered on behalf of something called the Christian Music Festival, which has been petitioning the City of Toronto, other municipalities and the federal government to declare this. The City of Toronto Office of Protocol turned them down.
Councillor Perruzza, we've already gone through.
Turned them down.
The motion in front of us is not about lobbyists or like, well, who's registered.
Can you stop my time?
It's about City Council proclaiming the
Okay, Councillor Perruzza, please. Yeah.
You know, there's a lane here, right? Like,
My clock is running, Speaker.
Okay. Come on, can we get, okay, can we get through this?
My clock is running.
Councillor Perks, please, can you just continue?
Thank you.
I know, but Councillor Perruzza, please.
Stop my clock.
Councillor Perruzza, stop. Please stop. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Perks.
Oh, look, I get to start all over again. Now, I don't know the Christian Music Festival. I understand they have some people here. I don't know what their goals are. I just don't know. I do know they're affiliated with something called the Christian Festival Association. The Christian Festival Association, which is a registered organization in Texas. I don't know what they're about. None of this was explained in the motion that was put in front of us. I think we have to be cautious when both our protocol department and also the federal government turned down these requests. I don't know why. I don't know anything about it. There was no description in the motion about what the aims are here. The second reason I encourage you to vote against it is, well, a member of council came up and said, what's wrong with this? There's Hindu Heritage Month. And that's an important thing to consider. Are we treating people equally? Well, I think that if you know anything about the history of Canada and how it's governed, these are not equal questions. First of all, the Canadian government only exists by something called the Doctrine of Discovery and Terrace Nullius. These were Christian principles established by the Pope saying, if you are a Christian country and you establish a settlement in a place that is not currently governed by a Christian ruler, that land is yours. Terrace Nullius says the reason you can do that is anyone who is there is not a person. Is not a person. Those principles stayed in Canadian law until just a couple of years ago. They were the same principles that the Canadian government used to establish the residential school system. Now, you may think that's old news, but no, if you read the first sentence of the Canadian Constitution, it says, whereas Canada is founded upon the principles that recognize the supremacy of God and the rule of law. In Canada, every day, every minute, every second, every law, everything we do is Christian time. It is the law of this land. When I was a child, I went to school in what was called the public school system, and I was required every day to recite the Lord's Prayer. In the Canadian Constitution, provincial governments can and must fund either a Catholic school or a Protestant school in any district where the Catholic or Protestant community is in the minority. That is Canadian law. If he wants to debate, he can put his name on the list. Can you stop my time?
Speaker, in the chair, should, so, he stood up, and in speaking to City Council proclaimed December Canadian Christian Heritage Month, he went on to talk about how a councillor who was kicked off council, who was registered as a...
No, Councillor Prusa, that's not a point of order. That's not a point of order. Okay.
You should ask the solicitor for her opinion. Okay. Not mine.
Councillor Prusa, I'm asking you for the second time. If you don't stop, I'm going to ask you to leave the council chambers. Yes, for disrupting council. Yes.
For trying to tell you that
No, Councillor Prusa.
Okay, sure. You tell you what. Yeah, you do that. Do that. Okay? You sit there and just do that. Anchor yourself to what he's saying. Okay? Do that.
Councillor Perks, please continue.
Some years ago, I lost my birth certificate. The hospital where I was born no longer exists. So what I was told by the government of Quebec is I had to go and get my parish records to prove that I was born. Canada as an entity is soaked and steeped in the Christian church. They do not need separate recognition. When we do something like recognize some different group, that is an effort to rebalance. I ask you to recall the moment we had at the beginning of this afternoon's session when we had a smudging ceremony and what that meant and what that means in this context. The final reason I would like you to vote against this, language matters. The phrase Christian heritage is not a neutral phrase in the Canadian political landscape. There is a political party named the Christian Heritage Party. That party is anti-abortion, anti-same-sex marriage, says that Islam is a threat to democracy, denies that climate change is caused by CO2. I would also suggest to you that if you really want to go down the rabbit hole, Google Christian Heritage Front and find out how that phrase is not neutral in meaning. So, there's a lobbying effort afoot. Our staff already turned them down, so they're trying to get around it. Our system is already Christian, and the phrase Christian heritage has very specific meaning.
Your time is up. Councillor Mantis to speak.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank you for seconding the motion. And all the other councillors, Deputy Mayor McKelvey, Councillor Cheng, Councillor Candeval, and all the other councillors that are supporting this motion. I can understand where Councillor Perks is coming from, but there is no political intention in this motion. As someone of a Christian faith, we all would like to see this adopted, as the Christian faith is the only faith yet that has not had an adoption of a Heritage Month. I can understand, we all understand the history behind it, but it is time to move forward and to support the Christian faith, just like all the other faiths in Canada. So if anyone in council, I'm sorry, does not like or will not like to support this, I mean, we did not ask for a recorded vote. They can decide on how they would like to vote on this matter. So I would like to thank you on this. Christian Heritage Month, the Christian Heritage Festival did come to us because they were not rejected by protocol. It's a nonprofit organization that was requested to bring forward this motion, this letter of intent. And I'm not aware of any of the Christian heritage political movements in our country. So thank you very much for the opportunity to speak, and I hope I will have the support of our council members for this motion.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Cheng to speak.
This is actually a very difficult debate to me because I feel like we're putting a whole faith on trial here. And just like so many faiths, we are all made up of imperfect people, and people make mistakes. And so do I feel upset about hearing about residential schools and the history that Christians have had on the negative impact that they've had on our country? I think a lot of Christians feel very bad about this. But I don't think that that's a reason to not have a chance to lift up the fact that so many people do hold December as a very special month. A lot of people buy Advent calendars and count the days towards the remembrance of the birth of a baby that, for many people, has great significance. In fact, 34.9% of Torontonians, according to the 2021 census. I can say for myself that Christianity saved my life. I struggled with eating disorders and depression. I had a lot of challenges because I had adverse childhood events that I didn't even know were having such a difficult impact on me.
You want to take a moment?
Kind, gracious people loved me and showed me that I was worthy to be loved, that I didn't even know that. And they walked with me so patiently. And who I am today would not be without this faith that has carried me through the hardest journey of my life, especially watching my mom die from Lou Gehrig's disease. So I don't think we should be putting a whole faith on trial at this moment. Because I don't think any of us pass. None of us are perfect. And if you dig into the history of any faith, there are dark things that no one would be proud of. But there's so much good and beauty in Christianity. The outreach that I see in my neighborhood to the unhoused, to those who are struggling with food insecurity, who sacrificially create community in the hardest parts of our neighborhood. And so I don't think it's something to be ashamed of, to say I am Christian. And yes, there are people who say things under the banner of Christianity that I don't agree with. But I am proud of the values of love, of sacrifice, of caring for your neighbors. And I think those are worthy things that we should celebrate in December, when so many people, even those who aren't Christian, look forward to the message of faith, hope, and love that is carried around the world on December 25th. So I will be supporting this motion, and I will be proud when the city declares December Christian Heritage Month, because I know that there are so many Christians in Toronto doing incredible work to make our city a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moyes to speak. Just a sec. Okay, go ahead.
I'm going to pull back a little bit. There are great people right across this city doing great things every day. We know this is the most multicultural city in the world, and we welcome and we accept everyone for who they are. When you bring religion into this chamber, that's what happens. Religion divides people. It always has. Look beyond this building and beyond our borders, and we see it every day. I came from the school board, and I had a conversation with my colleague, Rachel Schoenslin, about this issue. And I will not repeat what we talked about. It was private. But I can say to you, we have many heritage months of the TDSB. Once you open that Pandora's box, everybody wants recognition. As of right today, there's a moratorium on heritage months at the TDSB because they don't know how to deal with it. You open this today, you could not say no to anyone else. You could not say no to any other organization because then you'd be discriminating against another religion. The best way to avoid this Pandora's box you want to open is to stay as far away from it as possible. We have many ways of showing love and acceptance to everyone in Toronto. And I'm happy to celebrate Christmas this year. I'm happy to celebrate Eid. I'm happy to celebrate Hanukkah. But I don't need to have a Heritage Month here to do that.
Okay, on the motion, recorded vote.
The motion is adopted. The vote is 11-4.
Okay, thank you.